Podcast world, what's up? Chad back at you. Another episode. This life ain't for everybody. I'm excited as heck about this one today. Remember to keep supporting the partners and sponsors that support us. Jack Daniels brings you another episode of This Life Ain't for Everybody. Enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. And thank y'all so much for the subscriptions, the downloads, the support of the podcast, the TV shows, and all of our manufacturing brands. We're totally humbled by it, and I'm totally humbled to have my guest today, one of my MMA heroes, what really got me into watching MMA and is said to be responsible, along with guys like Randy Couture. I started watching MMA in like that 2002, 2004 time frame. Chuck Liddell, my man, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
What's going on, man?
No, not a whole lot. Just cruising around, raising my family, hanging out, trying to get some new stuff going on now, but it's been a slow year.
Different kind of year, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Been a little crazy.
That's kind of a cool idea to start with right there, Chuck. You literally might be one of the most popular fan favorite fighters of all time. And I know that you're humble and you probably would say, well, there's a lot of them. And I know how Conor gets the reaction now, and a lot of fighters have. But man, when you'd come out in those blue shorts and when you'd get that knockout punch, whether it was an overhand right or whatever, you would hit your signature move of arms back and the cross and then putting your hips out. And you just had a huge fan base. What would it be like for you to fight right now? I know that you've been quoted as saying level-headed. Your heart rate barely went up before a fight. That's how you got the name Iceman. How could you do it now with nobody in the fans, no walkout, just standing there and getting the bell? Is it always go time?
I think it just would have been, for me, it would have just been more, all right, we're just going to go. You didn't take the time. I used to actually take a little time to enjoy. I take a little time to enjoy walking out and hearing the crowd go crazy. I mean, it got deafening in there at that point, at some point. I go out and it would be a little weird for some people. I can see people getting caught in there, in almost like that sparring partner syndrome, kind of like you're out, almost like it's more of a sparring situation than a fighting, kind of atmosphere,
Yeah. It just seems to me like you get the crowd is a big part of anything. I got a buddy that's getting ready to ski in the X Games next week, and a huge part of the X Games is that crowd participation that for any athlete, baseball. I mean, we've all gone through it and watched it this year with COVID of people trying to compete. But I just thought that being a fighter, a big part of it is the adrenaline rush, and it just seems like it would be hard to get off on some of your technique if you really don't have that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, but it's fighting. You have that. I mean, I remember it kind of flashed back to the days when you go to another gym and fight some guy at their other gym and see whose gym's better. Like kind of like we go to places out and they put their tough guy and you go out there to fight some guy at some gym, and there's a few people around the gym watching, but there's no fanfare. There's no, I did that quite a few times. I got a guy come try to test me at some gym, and then I don't think it made it any different fighting. It is a fight.
It's a fight. So like, even if it's a bar fight or you're in college and you get in a fight, or even back to your high school days, you might've gotten some fights and you still get that adrenaline rush, even if it's a small group of people watching it. It just seems like going from that ultimate level of UFC crowd participation to just standing there with the referee and the scorekeepers and the judges. It just seems like it would be real tough to keep that mental focus.
Actually, to see some of these guys that are now coming up in their only real experience is out in front of no crowd, like at the top level fighting with no crowd. When the crowds come back, if the first time they walk out in front of 14,000 screaming fans, because some people get that little deer in the headlight thing from being out in front of that many people live, and I'm wondering if there's anybody that's going to get caught up in kind of like that. Oh man, this is what this is like, like the first time they get out there in front of from a big crowd again.
Did you ever get that? I know that you stayed cool, calm, and collective as far as your opponent went. Is it fair to say that every fighter gets nervous, Chuck Liddell? Is it fair to say that you have to get nervous or you're really not in the fight game if you're not a little bit scared when you're going out there?
Well, I don't think you need to be scared. I mean, I was never scared. I love fighting. I love being out there and competing. But if you're not anxious, you're not a little bit excited to get out there, you don't have that. And however that manifests itself inside you, if that's a fear or a kind of that, if that doesn't get your blood pumping, But like, for me, like I kind of calm down when the thing breaks. But when you get out there, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go. All that work I put in, all that stuff. My blood pressure's up. I'm ready to go. I'm pumping. And then I kind of, okay, it's time to go. Let's relax. Boom, let's go.
So does it take that period right there, that relaxation point after you come down off of that walkout and that adrenaline rush? Because I would think that sticking to your game plan is key in this game, right? And it seems like that adrenaline can easily get you off of your training camp game plan from the last several months.
Oh, right. And a lot of things still can throw you off, but like I always thought emotion clouded judgment. So if you get too emotional about Sky and you're trying to, I think one of the best examples is Aldo Connor. Have you ever seen Aldo run across the ring and just try to take someone's head off? He feels a guy out, sees how he's moving, does it. Very calculated fighter, right? Always been very calculated, very, vicious leg kicks. And I actually thought for that fight, I was a fan of Connor, but I'm a fan of Aldo's too, and I thought Aldo had a great shot with chopping him down with those leg kicks if you could stay out of Connor's range for a couple rounds. But he went right out and ran across, got knocked out. But I think that was, one of those things. I mean, it was emotion clouded judgment. He was angry. Connor did a great job of doing trash talking before to get him upset and out of his game plan.
When you mentioned trash talk, would you have considered yourself a shit talker back in your fight day? Because guys like Hendo would barely ever say a word. They never ever got that too ever rude or disrespectful to their opponent. Did you ever get that way?
Well, I never was really. No, I mean, I'd say things like, hey, well, if you think if he's really tough, he'll stand in the center of the ring and swing with me and not try to take me down. I said, trying to talk him into striking with me and trying to put it at his ego to stand up and bang with me. But other than that, I mean, I tried to stay away from saying anything that wasn't true or that really attacking somebody. I know what you had to say for promos, and they just come in. I know what they're looking for because they'll sit there and talk to you for 4 hours to get you to say a couple one-liners that they want to use in a fight. And there's things that I'm not. You're not going to trick me into saying something. So I'm not. There's things I'm not going to say, but I'll say something. Like and then nothing that's not true. But like I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this. I'm really going to try to take his head off. And I really was. I mean, I was really coming out there trying to hurt you. When it's over, I hope you're all right. But when that bell starts, I'm really trying to hurt you.
You said something in there about standing in the middle and throwing with Chuck Liddell. You're a very accomplished and established wrestler and grappler. You are an NCAA wrestler. You have been on the mat a lot. To me, this is a foundation of MMA mixed martial arts that is needed. The best fighters in the world, in my opinion, in this history of this game, have had that background of being able to take somebody down, a high crotch, a double leg, an ankle pick, whatever it is. They're down on the ground, and then you go to ground and pound. Why did it transition into that overhand right, and it kind of did with Hendo too, but why did it do with your career when you're such a good wrestler?
For me, I was able, and especially in the beginning, that one of the things that made me great was I could go between different disciplines. I could wrestle, I could strike with you, I could wrestle with you, I could fight anywhere in the ring. So, and I was a guy using my wrestling to allow me to strike, rather than using my wrestling to get on top of you and strike. And I felt that I had a better chance of finishing you standing up than I did on the ground. And I wanted to put you away. So I've been doing I did kickboxing for about 5 years before I started doing the UFC. And I was really, it was just kind of lent itself to that. And I think near the end of my career, I got away from it too much. Like I was not mixing things in, not doing more. I actually started, I kind of hate that my career ended that way, but I started to incorporate takedowns, and I think my last fight, I think that headbutt, I got headbutted when I did one of my singles. Because I did that kind of a fat man single or lazy man single, and got that headbutt. I think, and I really think that headbutt's the majority of what knocked me out in that fight.
Was that against Rich Franklin?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I just started incorporating more of my wrestling back into my game. Because I think what I gotten away from was mixing it up. I just came out and became a one trick pony. I was coming out just to strike, and stop you from taking me down. And I think for me, what originally made me great at stuff was I was good at mixing the two together, mixing things between wrestling and striking.
At what time in your life did you know you had knockout power? Was it early in high school? Did you just have hands that you could put somebody on the floor and unconscious?
Yeah, I was knocking people out for a long time. I used to use elbows a lot. I knock people out with elbows a lot. But even when I started kickboxing, I think I really came into it. Like as I started kickboxing with John thought I was one of those guys going to beat you to death, hit you like 3 or 4 punches and knock you out. And when he first started working with me, and about about 6 months, a year in, I started just one punch knocking out people, and that was like, it was just kind of a progression of learning how to use my skills, learning how to timing and just learning how to put that power behind it and release it on and catch people with it.
You had correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, but you had a very successful kickboxing career before your UFC or Pride or mixed martial arts career takes off. Yeah. How are you winning these fights? Are you kicking people to the ground, or are you punching them out? It
was about 8. I had 16 knockouts in 22 bouts, and I had eight kick knockouts and eight punch knockouts. So.
Wow.
One of the punch knockouts should have been a kick knockout because I dropped him with a kick and they started it back up. I came at him, I hit him with a jab, and the referee stopped it because he still wasn't there. The game was standing 8 there. Did you
have any kick knockouts in the UFC?
Yeah. Remember Babalu?
Oh yeah, Babalu. Right to the temple.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one actually, we planned that one. It was from watching films, and John was like, "Hey, when you come in, he pulls his head back and does this and shoots." And I'm like, "Oh, perfect." I can catch. I'll just catch it with that kick coming up. Yeah, we planned for that one in that fight. It was pretty good.
Did you plan for the reaction that you got when you started coming into the UFC, and that you were kind of you went over to Japan, correct me if I'm wrong, and you represented the UFC in Pride, right? What does that mean to represent the UFC? Did each of the sanctions have a fighter in that tournament?
Here's what happened. The first time I went over there was against Guy Metzger. I knocked out Randleman in like a minute 18. And after the fight, they're like, "Hey, can we have him? We need another guy for Pride against Guy Metzger." And I was about to negotiate my contract so basically I did a 3-way negotiation with the UFC, Pride, and my lawyer. Did a 3-way negotiation with I had a 2-tier contract with the UFC, but I was still under contract with the UFC, but they're going to allow me to go over and fight for Pride for one fight.
And this Metzger fight is not supposed to happen the way it did, right? You literally went in there and dismantled this guy, and to the surprise of a lot of people. Were you surprised at what happened? I know that you know your skills, but come on, you destroy this guy pretty quick, right?
Oh no, it was second. I knocked him out pretty quick in the second round.
Second round, okay.
And the first round was really close. I mean, it could have gone either way. He's a good kickboxer, tough guy. And it's one of those things. I was really happy. If you want to sit there and bang with me, I sit there and bang with you. So I out there banging with him, and but he was I set him up real good and caught him with the right through the middle, and he didn't move for a while. I was actually got a little nervous for that one. One of the few knockouts I've had where he hasn't moved yet. Is he all right?
Really?
Okay, but he was fine. Everything's fine. I still talk to him every once in a while. He's a good dude.
Do you think that when you get in that part of thinking about the fight game, take me back to where you're sitting right now, and I know that you're in your early 50s now, right? And I know that you stay in good shape, but what is the difference of good shape and fight shape? And I know that training camps are strenuous, but were you one of those guys that your training camp, you pushed yourself to the point to where you went into every fight in the top physical shape that you knew you had to be in?
Yeah, short of a couple fights, I messed up my weight cut a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there was extenuating circumstances. It was like a change of dates and all that stuff, so it screwed me up a little bit. But yeah, I tried. That was one of the biggest things I tried to do, is make sure I showed up in shape and ready to go for every fight I was in.
And is this something that you accredit yourself with your wrestling background, or did it start earlier than that? I know that you were raised by a single mom and a grandpa. Did you have this work ethic instilled in you from a young age, or did you have a very disciplined childhood coming up?
Yeah, I mean, the work ethic, I mean, I think was taught from a young age. I mean, I went out and I was just taught you got to do your best. Always do your best. That meant practice. That meant anytime you're doing anything, it was a competition to me. I mean, I was always one of those guys, like when I first started wrestling, like coach would come on the mat, so like arguing some call. I'm like, get off the mat, he's tired. Get off. Like, I got him. Let me go. Let's go. I got him. And I was just, because I was always in shape. And that's, but it's, that was just one of the things I always thought was very important. You don't want to be, I mean, the worst feeling in the world is get out there and be tired.
So how does that parlay into your life now? You've had several movie roles, TV roles, as the Iceman, as Chuck Liddell, as characters. Are you staying in shape for an acting career? Are you a big-time health nut at this point of your life? I know you want to live a fulfilled life. You have kids and a wife and a family. How does your mentality sit on that now? Do you take days off? Do you make excuses not to go to the gym now, or how is it?
I actually started doing that for a little bit after I had to have surgery on my neck and my surgery on my knee, and wear and tear. Nothing. I mean, there was pretty much with the life I lived, it was going to happen sooner or later, right? And I had some time off, and you can't do what you want to do, and you start making excuses for yourself, and I finally, thank God, decided to start make a change and not do that anymore. And I'm getting back in shape. I feel a lot better. And things are, and plus now, and the other thing too, I wasn't working, so I don't have a movie coming out, because it's usually easier to get in shape when you got something. I got a movie coming out. I got to be ready. I got this coming up. I got to be ready for that. But we don't have anything. You don't have an idea, you're resting on the fact that, hey, I was world champion. I did this. I see you. Look here. Let me show you a picture. This is me. But then I thought about it too. Like I'm raising my kids, and they need to see the guy that became champion, not a guy who's resting on what he did in the past.
How hard was it though, Chuck, to face reality that it was over? Because when you're a competitor, and I've heard you quoted as saying, hey, it's hard to quit when this is all you do. This is all you've ever done. And being an athlete is even harder. And you see a lot of fighters come back. You even came back in 2018. Not sure what that was about. We'll get into that. But how hard was it mentally for you to accept the fact that you weren't going to be competing against the top fighters in the world anymore?
Well, I mean, I don't know that you're not, it's kind of like one of those things that it's not that you're not competing anymore. It's just not fighting. I mean, but it's like, you don't have that goal, like guiding, like for me, I just don't have that goal controlling me and guiding me, because always like, it was my reason not to do this bad thing, or to stay in shape, or to work out instead of go do this, work out instead of go eat a pizza, like it was always, my reason was I want to be world champion. I want to compete at this level. I want to compete at that. Now, for the first time in my life that I can remember, I don't have something up there to control that. I got a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things, but I don't have to do any of them. So part of that makes it real. It puts you in a weird spot. And I've talked to a lot of athletes that have the same kind of feeling. Like, and it's like being world champion. I mean, it's great, and it's great and all, but like, how long does that last? As far as we're people that are people that get to be world champion or get to that level are goal oriented people. They're people that are used to working for something, getting something, making progress, right? And that's what makes you happy, like that getting there, and the process of getting there, and the progress of improving and getting better at this, getting better at that, doing these different things. Not the actual getting there. I mean, shoot, want to find my belts? I got all four. I was cleaning out the closet. I found all four of them in the bottom of my closet. So, I mean, it's it's one of those things. It's like that was, it's cool. And I'm proud of it, and I'm glad I did it. And, and I'm happy about it. And actually, after I had the surgeries, my wife asked me, man, was it all worth it? I'm like, yeah, every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I would have done it again. It was a great ride, but that's not the end all. You know what I mean?
Well, you talk about a great ride. It's one of the most storied and historic MMA careers of all time, to the point to where I think that your class, and especially you and the Coutures and the Hendo, you guys are responsible for what's going on. I mean, did you ever sit back and think about, I know that there was trailblazers before you. I know that there was the Brazilians that came up and did what they did all the way back to the early days of the UFC, and then it was outlawed for a while. But when Gracie was doing his thing, and you had Dan Severn doing his thing from wrestling at ASU and all of those fighters at the time, it still never gained popularity, Chuck Liddell, until you guys started doing what you were doing. I know that is hard to, hear for you and have you go, yeah, man, you're right. You're 100% right, because you're a humble man. But that's the truth, man. I started getting pay-per-view every month because of Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of that. I mean, I'm happy. I love the sport, and I think I'm glad I brought it to a lot more people. And if nothing, and also, I think one of the greatest things the UFC did was force martial arts to evolve again. So I've seen so many styles stuck in, like, oh, we got to be traditional. We got to be, and there's stuff to tradition and traditional styles and stuff. But they've shown this forced them to evolve again and make improvements on their style.
So if you had it all over to do again with your wrestling career, your karate career, your Brazilian jiu-jitsu purple belt, your hands, your knockout power, what would you concentrate on right now in the game to compete today? If you watch these fighters from the outside looking in now, would you keep the same style that you had in your career?
It would definitely be similar. I mean, but I think I would have, like I was saying, I was getting back to, I think I got away from just using a little bit of everything and mixing it up. I mean, I think one of the things now, I think people are getting better and better at mixing it up and making it transitions from different elements to different elements, So I think that you have to just continue to do what we were trying to do back then. And I think that a lot of the guys that did really well that you mentioned, all those guys were working on getting better at everything. I think the guys that, when I started, let's go back. When I started, we were doing, you came in, everyone was coming in with one thing and having to learn two. So you had basically wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking, right? Everybody was coming in with one of those and had to learn two. One of the advantages I had was I was coming in with two and had to learn one. So I just needed to learn the jiu-jitsu side of it, which I thought for me, I took the time to really get really good at the escaping, staying out of submissions, and a few other things. So I didn't have to learn it all at once, so I concentrated on all that stuff for the most part. So it gave me a big advantage back then. But now, everyone's coming in as mixed martial artists. And I think the people like Randy and, that evolved with the sport. But like, I remember going in a corner, and I love Coleman, I love Randleman, they're good dudes. But I went in the back, and they're asked, at Pride, and they asked me, they're asking me, hey man, can you show me how to defend a heel hook? And, they've been in the game for a long time. And I said, sure, no problem. I go, okay, now put me in a heel hook. And they looked at me like I just asked them to do some calculus. They're like, I'm like, you don't know how to do. How am I supposed to show you how to defend it if you don't even know how to do it? And as long as they've been in the sport, they should have known how to do one at least. It's one of those things for me. Like they weren't evolving with the sport. They're trying to prove, and I get it. They were trying to wrestling's it. Wrestling's the best. I'm going to beat you with wrestling. But the sport evolved.
With your mental outlook on life, Chuck Liddell, and your focus and your career, is it hard for you to talk about the losses, or is it just as easy because that's part of the fight game?
I mean, it's just as easy. I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, I can look back and tell you what I think I did wrong. And usually after each loss, I was like, man, I wish I hadn't done this. I could have done this better. I was right away thought, oh, give me another shot at it. I can beat this guy. You know, it was never like, oh, you know, that I got destroyed. You know, like I don't feel I ever did. I mean, I think most of the fights I was winning until I got caught.
Okay, I want to ask you about one specifically that rocked my world. I'm a huge fight fan, and some of my worst memories is when Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Douglas. Like, it was a huge like just overload of like on me, right? I was just like, wow, man, like he was the guy, right? Like Mike Tyson was the guy to watch. And when he got beat, you're like, there's just no way. You just didn't want to accept it. And it was just like a punch in the gut. And that night when Rashad Evans did it when he knocked you out, it was the same feeling that I had of like, no, this isn't happening. Did you underestimate Rashad Evans, or what happened with that fight?
I mean, I looking back, I was doing, I did some very predictable things. Right at that point, I was just striking with people, and I had a tendency that overhand right. People catch me with that training. Like I had a buddy catch me with it all, but it wouldn't hurt me enough. And he just, I mean, I was winning that fight. I was winning up to that point, and he just timed it really well and caught. And he throws it really hard. He throws that overhand really really hard. I mean, he caught me. I mean, there's something. I think if I had another shot to fight it, another time to fight him, I would beat him. I think if I had mixed, and if I had mixed it up like I should have too, like I got away from mixing stuff up. Like I can't let people not worry about me taking him down. If I got in a shot on him right away, I think he would have never got that timing right. But he could comfortably get that timing, and he got it. I mean, I was. You know, I was not making enough changes, and just not keeping people confused. That's one of the things I should have been doing. But you know, he's a great fighter, and he had that overhand. He did well, and I mean, he timed it well and caught me. It just is what it is.
Do you like the state of the business right now, the business of the fight game, the fight business, or are you glad that you got to wear the shorts you got to wear and the logos you got to wear? Do you like the Reebok deal? Did you like it better when it was the tap out shorts and you had all the guys?
It's really hard for me to comment on that because I haven't been involved in that side of it for that long, and I haven't seen the other side of it. I didn't even know when they started having to pay to be on the shorts, like pay the UFC to even advertise on your shorts. I was kind of grandfathered in coming into that, so I didn't have to deal with that. It's hard for me to talk on it. I mean, the amount they were making from Reebok for the fighters is, I mean, for me at least, I would have taken a big hit on my sponsorship for the fights. You know, and I think, and I really think when I was coming up, it was one of those things like you were able to get some sponsors that would sponsor you just to be good guys, or just so they could have thing on your shorts. It's not going to really do anything for them, but they do it. But the little guys that would give you, you know, they give you $2,000 here, $3,000, $5,000, so you can help pay for your fight camp, you know. But you know, it's part of growing, I guess. And I mean, I don't know the whole business side of it, but you know, they did it, you know. So,
do you like the fact that the UFC was valued at what it was based on the talent that was out there and the guys that were really selling, you know, putting asses in the seats and the pay-per-views? You have a double-edged sword here. You can look at it with Dana and the Fertittas, and they're like, we're giving you the ultimate platform to fight on. You're getting sponsors, you're getting televised, you're getting pay-per-views, you're getting a cut or whatever you are. And at the same time, the fighters could be like, yeah, but the value y'all are getting is huge based on our talents. How does a fighter look at that?
Well, see, you go back to me. I mean, I come from the old school. They're coming in now and looking at the business model now. I'm looking at. I fought for SCG. I fought before the Fertittas bought it. That was a whole different animal. Like, I mean, I think at that point, like if you had 3 fights that totaled $150,000 for the year, that would have been a great year. I mean, shoot, they offered me the first contract they offered me was a 3-fight deal for 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. I'm like, how am I supposed to sign a deal for if I win every fight? I'm going to make $12,000 or something for 1 year. That was the old owners. So how am I supposed to sign that as an exclusive 3-fight deal when I'm coming up? You know, it would just make any sense. But that's where we'd probably still be fighting for that if the Fertittas hadn't come in and made this sport what it was. You know, they came in and put the money behind it to promote it, and you know, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the sport and the fighters made it what it is. That's what the sport is. The sport that's behind it. But you know, and I think the what do you call it? Having the show, The Ultimate Fighter, is what really launched it. After they got it sanctioned by the commissions, and they got stuff going, and then what really catapulted it into today was Ultimate Fighter, which is a whole other issue.
Now, with you going into the UFC Hall of Fame, I think in 2009 or 2010, at the Fan Expo, I think it was UFC 100. Does that keep a strong? Are you a full-time employee of the UFC still? I know you went and fought for Golden Boy. You fought in the Golden Boy promotion with Oscar De La Hoya.
I've worked for them for a while.
You haven't. You don't work with. Are you? Is there still a good standing relationship with you in the UFC?
Yeah, I still have a good relationship with the UFC.
You do. Do you go to the events anymore? I mean, before COVID.
Before COVID, I was going quite a bit. I haven't yet since COVID. I'm probably going to try to catch one at some point, but just haven't worked out with all the stuff going on. I didn't want to bother them too. You know, it's like if you got to squeeze people in for a fight. I mean, they have very limited numbers, so I didn't want to bother them.
How hard is it still today to walk around? You got the haircut that has been like your signature for a long time. You're still you're probably one of the most 5 recognizable fighters in the history of the fight game. You can pick Chuck Liddell out from a mile away. Is it I walked through the Hard Rock with Hendo one time, Chuck, in Vegas, and you would have thought Jesus was parting the seas. I mean, it was unbelievable. And Hendo stopped and signed every napkin and took every selfie and did his deal. Is it still like that for you?
Yeah, it will just depend on where you're at. You know, it depends on your environment, what event you're at or where you're at. You know, it just. You know, I've been places where they call up their neighbors and they come down and they drive down to the place I'm at to get I just got gas coming back from Mammoth, and someone called. They got there before I left. Their brother called them and said I was there. He drove from around somewhere down around the corner to come and brought him and his family came running out. It was the cutest thing. One little girl came out boxing with me. I was like, she was like, I think she was probably 6 or 7, came out throwing punches at me. It was cool. It was fun. But they just got a phone call. Hey, yeah, they were so stoked to catch up to me. I was leaving, but I got out of the car. I'm like, okay.
Does it still humble you to have that, to know that people think that of you?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. You know, people we have times when fans get out, forget time and a place. You know, but for the most part, fans are so gracious and so great. And then it's just to see someone so excited to see you. I mean, it's kind of okay. But I don't know why this is making a day, but if it makes you this happy, it makes me happy.
I think it's pretty freaking cool, man, that this fight game put that, that it took you to that level. You took the fight game to that level. You talk about a little girl running across the parking lot at the gas station to shadow box with the Iceman. What if your kids want to get in the fight game? Do you support it? I know you're going to support your kids, but with your neck operation, your knee operations, the wear and tear, the knockouts, does it matter, or do you support a fight career with your own kids?
I support it. I mean, if that's what they want to do, I'm not going to push them into it. I push them to learn how to fight. I think it's a great skill to have. It's just the discipline, the martial arts side of it, and just great way to knowledge to have. But unless they really love fighting and that's what they really want to do, I don't want to push them to it. I mean, that's just not. if they decide to, great. I'll be happy to help. I'll be happy to help out. I'm gonna find him a head coach. I'll lose my mind being my kid's coach, but I like to be a fan and be dad. So, well, for any of their sports, I really like being a big fan. So,
what's the biggest memory, this historic career and literally trailblazing the sport? What is your biggest? I mean, there's so many big fights on this catalog that you have. Is it the Couture? Is it Vanderlei? Is it the Axe Murder?
A bunch of time. I try to go through it, and I don't know what the best moment of. I mean, if you put a gun to my head and I have to decide one, I mean, it would be the second fight with Randy, knocking him out, because I finally got the title. It was right after the big hoopla of the show, and everyone's going crazy. And everything's going crazy, and a huge sellout, and I went out and I knocked him out the way I thought I should, and I got the title I've been after for so long. So, for me that was a huge moment. So I mean, if I had to pick one, but I had some really great moments, great times. Had a lot of fun, promoting the sport across the country, going everywhere, trying to get this off the ground, and it was fun.
A couple things come out of that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, but this is your second fight with Couture, and you guys are coaches on season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, correct? So this is spawned with a rematch where in the first fight, if I remember right, Couture gets you on ground and pound, right? And it's a stoppage, a TKO. And then out of The Ultimate Fighter season 1 comes the rematch of Liddell Couture 2, where you defend you defend the rematch. You don't defend it, but you get the rematch and you get the win in the second fight. But then there's the Stefan Bonner, Forrest Griffin, the fight that
was a week before.
That was a week before, and that was one of the biggest fights, right?
Yeah, and and at the time I had a bonus, a pay-per-view bonus at the time, and that was the first time that after that fight, it was the first time it ever kicked in, because it was a minimum buy thing. So it was a great fight.
And how much do you accredit that fight, that time period right there? Because that 5-round war was it 3 or 5 between those two?
3, I think it was just a 3. Because back then unless it was a title fight, it wasn't 5.
How much do you accredit that with what you were doing at the time, what you just did with Randy, your guys' your popularity with that show, you're becoming famous, and then all of a sudden you get these 2 kids in there that just mix it up like a fight's supposed to be.
Yeah, and because it's one of those things. I think with what the show did and everything, and without that big fight, it would have been. But that big fight and that the culmination being an epic fight like that, a back and forth, showing all the elements and showing those guys. You couldn't ask for a better send off to the first free MMA fight on TV. It's like it was. Or event on TV. So
you're in the corner, right? Because you're a coach. So you're octagon side, right?
Well, no, we didn't corner. I was octagon side, yes, but we weren't cornering them for that one because they got their own. They had their own coaches corner them for that fight.
They had their own coach. What was the energy like? Because you're getting ready for a fight, so you're not party mode right now. You're disciplined because you got to fight a week later against Randy Couture, right?
Yeah. I fight the next week. So basically just in Vegas, ain't got in Vegas today early. So yeah, but it was crazy. I mean, it was a wild energy. I mean, it was loud and it was great. I mean, everyone's excited, just going back and forth. And I like both guys, so it was just great to see that happen that way.
Give me some answer, maybe a couple quick answers of who would you like to fight on today's offering at the UFC? Is there an 85, a 205? Is there a heavyweight? Would you want to fight John Jones, even though his career has been very weird? Did he need to do what he did? Why didn't he stay disciplined? He's so talented. He's unorthodox. He's got, 360 elbows. He's very unorthodox as a fighter. He's a wrestler. He can kick. Would you like to fight John Jones? Is there somebody that stands out that you would want to fight?
I mean, if you're going to ask me, that's the one I would have wanted to fight in my prime.
Really?
I just think I would be difficult for him because he wouldn't be able to control where the fight was fought, which he's been able to do in most of his fights. He's not a better wrestler than me. He's definitely not a better striker than me. He can try to outpoint me. I'm longer than he thinks I am. I'm not. I have a long reach. So I think I would have surprised him. I think he wouldn't expect me to hit him, and I would have caught him, and we would have tested him. He's a tough. I think he's a tough guy. I think he's a great fighter. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say anything bad about him. I think he's a great fighter, and I wouldn't want to fight the best of them. So, but you asked me, I think I would have caught him, but we'll see. We would have seen. We'll never see it. That's why I hate the hypothetical thing. But I think I would have been a bad match for him. Styles make fights. I would have been the bad matchup for him at our weight.
Yeah, because he hasn't had many bad matchups, right? Maybe Gustafsson part 1, he was getting rocked in this last fight. That kid out of Hendo's camp gave him a run, I think a 5-round run too. But his only loss, correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, was a disqualification for elbows on the ground to Matt Hamill, right?
Yeah. But I think the fight that gave him the most trouble, that fight, the guy's not a wrestler. He's not a wrestler.
John Jones isn't, or Matt Ham? Oh, you're talking about Alexander Gustafsson.
Gustafsson, he's not a wrestler, but he took him down with that high double. It was funny.
Yeah. If you, I've heard
you're not expecting it. I think it happened to me against. I got taken down when I fought Vitor. I came out there all happy, just going bang, and all of a sudden he shot a double. I'm like, well, wait, what? Oops! I wasn't expecting it at all. He got that first takedown.
He who was it? Vitor, you beat Vitor in that fight, though, right?
Yeah, I beat him. I was just shocked. He shot on me, and he took me down because I just wasn't ready. I was absolutely not planning on having to sprawl at all.
Is the Spider Silva head kick to Vitor one of the best head kicks you can remember in the history of the game?
That's a pretty bad one. Yeah, that was pretty good.
He just caught him perfect. But here's my question, Chuck Liddell, is you've been on Twitter. I don't remember where I read it, but you're a fan of Conor McGregor. You're a fan of a guy that literally talks like genius smack talk. Like, are you a fan of that? Do you respect his mental side of the game to get fighters out of their element and out of their comfort zone?
I think he goes a little far, but I get it. I understand it. Because he is actually working on you mentally. Like if it was just blatant like craziness talk, it's kind of funny. Like, you got a couple guys that do that. It's just kind of what they say. He's kind of more laughable than anything. But he's always kind of working on you, and which is brilliant. But and hey, he brings in the fans that don't. He brings in those fans that make more money for the sport. The fans, the casual fans, the people that haven't watched it. He'll bring those in because he's got that big a personality. So I get it, but it's just not my style. And I think sometimes those guys take it a little bit far. There's I think there should be some kind of unwritten rule between the guys, how far you can take certain kind of things.
2 more Conor questions before I get off of him. What was your feedback?
I like he fights the way he talks though. He runs across the ring with reckless abandon. Like he'll come across and attack you and fight. So,
what were your thoughts on the fight with Mayweather? Was it real? Was it a legit deal? And
no, I'm gonna have to say I had to watch it when I was in Peru doing a show. So we were watching on satellite TV, and I missed most of it because it was going in and out of satellite. But I saw the first couple rounds, and he looked like he was doing fine. For a guy that's never boxed before, I thought he did great. Now I don't know if they had some deal to not knock him out or whatever. But I would say it could happen that way easily because Mayweather's one of those guys. He's not going to give you a chance to knock him out. He's not going to give you a chance to make that mistake that you got one chance you could catch him the lucky punch or whatever. It's just not gonna. He's not gonna give you that shot. He's arguably one of the best defensive boxers of all time, and you got a guy that's never really actually just boxed. Because I've gone in, it's different when you kickbox, when you box, when you do MMA. You're striking everything distance, and timing changes a little bit, and everything changes a little bit. So it's different. And you're talking about a guy that's 50-0. Then you have a guy that is 0-0 really in that sport. It's going to be tough. But I thought he did well, and I ain't mad at him. He make that kind of money for that. Why wouldn't he do it?
Big money. He's doing it right. I mean, his whiskey's doing well. This Proper 12 stuff. I mean, are you a drinker at all, Chuck? Do you drink after your career? Do you like to get down on a party night once in a while? Do you and your wife share a bottle of red wine, living in the Santa Barbara region of the country? And there's a wine region in that pretty close to you.
Yeah, we drink we drink every once in a while. Yeah, and not as much as I used to, but yeah, we will here and there.
What do you look forward to eating wise? Are you a huge sushi nut? Do you love barbecue? Are you a deer eater? What do you like?
Hey man, yeah, you hit both my. I like barbecue and I like sushi. I mean, I do like cheese grits. I like beef ribs, baby back ribs. I just got to smoke a Traeger smoker. I just got one of those big, the 1300, the big one, Timberland. Just got a big one. I just started work. Did a bunch of baby back ribs the other day. So
incredible, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Really good. And I'm going to try it now. I'm going to try out a brisket. I don't know. I've never been good at brisket, but we'll see. We'll see how it works in this Traeger.
I'm gonna get. I just sent Hendo a prime rib. I'm gonna send you a brisket out of this little company that I have in the beef market. I'm gonna send you some steaks and some briskets so you can try it out. Do you work with Traeger on that, or did you just go buy it, or did you see Hendo doing it all the time?
Well, I saw Hendo. I was actually out at Adam Ranch, at E3 Ranch.
Oh yeah,
out there with those guys. And I was out there and. They kept coming. I come out there for a couple of different events. They did with some military guys, and I came out there and I'm like, man, they kept doing all this stuff. And oh man, it's a smoker, it's a Traeger. So I'm okay. I'm gonna have to try one of those out. So I got one.
Man, they're awesome. That Timberline 1300 it's got the cubic inches to put a lot of food on, a lot of meat on there, vegetables, whatever you want to do. Are you a guy that watches your calories? Do you watch your carb intake? Me and you are both in midlife now. Do you pay a lot of attention to it, or do you work out enough you eat whatever you want?
I pay attention to my carbs for nowadays. I get a little more than I used to. I used to be able to. Off season, I had my diet for training camp, but during off season, I could eat whatever I wanted because I worked out enough. But get a little older, so I got to, if I want to keep my weight down, I have to keep an eye on it.
Does vanity play a role when you're used to seeing yourself as a wrestler and a professional MMA champion? The way that you look when you're in tip-top shape. Is vanity sneak in on you, a guy like Chuck Liddell, to where you want to look good in the mirror, or is it all about the heart and just being healthy and conscious of, your heart health?
It's more about healthy, and then also, but it is business too. If I'm doing a show or promote something for fitness, but I also want to show my kids it's important to stay fit and stay in shape and be healthy. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to stay in good shape. And it just, it's one of those things you got to keep moving when you get older. If you stop moving, you're going to die. So got to keep moving around and keep moving.
Chuck, what was your number one go-to song when you were either rolling in training camp, not walkout song, but what was your number one go-to getting after it, whether it was weightlifting, wrestling practice? What'd you have in your headphones?
I always had a mix. Is why people like me. I had a few different things. I liked. One of the ones I liked was "If I Can't Do It." The one about I don't know. I wasn't even the name of the song, but "If I Can't Do It, Nobody Can." The one 50 Cent.
Yeah.
But Cowboy and Me actually fired me up always. And I don't know, man, a lot of different. I go from different country to Lars and the Bastards. I had a couple of their songs I really liked. Man, I'm trying.
Being the age that you are, and from the part of the country that you're from, you had to be a Guns N' Roses fan, right? Sunset Boulevard, L.A., the mid to late '80s. I mean, you had to be a little Axl Rose fan, huh?
Well, yeah, Guns N' Roses is always good. Yeah, that was always on there. It's always something. I was at one of the commission guys always used to say he loved working my corner because when he'd be out in the back room and he never knew what song was going to come out next on my speaker. They go from Slayer to Social Distortion to
Hank Jr.
rap to Hank Jr. I mean, yeah, to everything. It just had everything.
That's exactly how I am. I just think that music is all about mood, and whatever mood I was in, I would, if it was Metallica on, I'd probably be weightlifting. If it was country music, I'd probably be sitting around a campfire with a cold beer or whatever, just there's a music for everything. I just was wondering what the Iceman would train to, because I could see you, like, if you were fighting today, you'd probably have some Slipknot going on and some heavy percussion and just getting that heart rate up a little bit and elevated. And there's some songs that I would pick. If you do want a cold beer, do you like the Bud Light? Do you like the Coors Light? Or are you more of a one of these custom beers, these craft brews?
Wait, is this a trick question? Am I on the fire?
You're on the hot seat, but no, there's nothing here. Unless you're sponsored by a beer company.
No, I just go with whatever you got. Like whatever, I'm pretty easy going. I mean, I actually really, what I really liked when I was down in Mexico was Modelo. I don't know. I think it tastes different down there, but Modelo was good down there because that's the UFC out there doing their thing. But that was a good one. And I don't know, but Bud Light, Coors Light, it's all about the same to me.
Do you think that? What do you want to be known as, Chuck Liddell? I know you want to be known as a great father, a great husband, a great son. But what do you want to be known about when Dan Henderson or Randy Couture talks about Chuck Liddell? What do you think they say, or what would you want them to say based on how you treated them, or how you treated the sport, or how you treated your career, and your respect level for others?
I mean, I think I get that from most people. I mean, I showed everybody respect. I show you the respect you deserve, and I give you respect until you show me you don't deserve it. So as long as you carry yourself as a good human being, I give you respect. So and anybody that's willing to get in the cage with me or get out there and fight, they're tough guys.
So no regrets, Chuck Liddell, on this career. This career is I started by saying, one of the most influential and important careers in where MMA and the UFC is today. Any regrets at all?
No. I mean, there could be there's a lot of things you could think about that could have been better, but then you would have missed out on that. It was a great story. It was great ride, great time to be alive for me. And, so I'm happy. And now I'm happy with my career, and I was happy I could do it. Obviously I would like to get avenge a couple of those losses. I would get another shot at a couple of those, but time passes you by eventually, it's time to move on.
Have you gotten approached by this bare knuckle stuff yet? I know some of your first fights were bare knuckle.
Yeah, I've done those before, but no, they haven't said anything. I haven't had anyone ask me anything. No one serious, I guess.
Really? I would think they would want the Iceman in there with your knockout power. It seems to me like somebody would want to pay you.
It is what it is.
Shamrock hasn't hit you up, huh?
No, he hasn't. Nope, not yet.
My last question, Chuck Liddell, is give me the three guys, if you got a 4-man team and it's called the ultimate bar fight. and you got to pick 3 of your fighting compadres, guys I've heard of, because you might know some tough dudes that I never heard of. But who do you have on the Chuck Liddell Ultimate Bar Fight team? It's Chuck Liddell and 3 people, and you go and you fight 4 guys at a time.
All right. Man, I'm just going with my own team. I got Glover Teixeira. He's coming with me. I'll take Gan McGee, my boy, and then outside of there, I mean, I like Anderson Silva.
Really?
Yeah, I like Anderson. Anderson's a beast, and we'll take care of the rest of them. He can let him knock people out.
What about Hendo? Would he be on another team?
Oh man, Hendo. That if Hendo, I might have to take Hendo. So yeah, I wasn't even thinking. Man, that's what you start thinking about. You're like, oh man, I love what Hendo's. That's a guy you can't worry. You never have to worry about. Never quitting. Never. He's all going, and that power. Man, he's fun. He'd be good to have him on my team.
What was your reaction, if you can think back to the Bisping Hendo fight 1, after all the smack talking, the overhand H-bomb, and then the Superman punch, and lands it when he's laying down? Do you remember what your reaction was to that fight? Were you watching on TV? Were you there live? Do you remember?
I don't even know if I don't think I made that one live. I was watching on TV, but yeah, it was. I was excited because at that time, all the trash talking. I wanted Henderson to kill him. I wanted him to put him to sleep.
Is that the kind of guy that you would want to, like, when you're watching that? Do you want to fight a guy like that? Would you have loved to fight Bisping?
Yeah, at that time. I mean, I know him a lot better now. I like the guy. I mean, I actually like the guy, and he's a good dude. But yeah, I would want to. I mean. I think I've almost said a couple of things to him back in the day, but it was like one of those things that he thought I said something disrespectful or something. I was like, what? Man, shut up. Just be quiet. But he did a good job. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's another guy, just tough fighter.
Well, where does it go from here? You're sitting around waiting for a movie post COVID. You're going to keep the movie career rolling. You got businesses rolling. I know you got an entrepreneurial mind. Are you getting into some new businesses? Where does the Chuck Liddell legacy go from here?
Well, I'm working on. I've almost got a podcast deal done. Going to start doing that for some fun. Just get out and talk a little more. And then I got a.
It's 15 hours.
I got a show for called No Chucks Given. We're putting together. They'll come out sometime in the spring, I think. And we're just more of a travel kind of show, but me doing stuff that I like to do, going, whatever. It'll just depend on, between going to, I think originally we were going to do some stuff like a lot of sporting stuff, but now we're talking about doing a lot of our outdoor stuff I like doing some different, doing some hunting stuff, some shooting stuff.
Well, when are we going to film an episode, man? I've been inviting you to camp.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll talk about it because we're just trying to get everything lined up. We're going to do one with at my buddy's paintball place. Guys, go out, have some fun doing that. We're going to do, just kind of me going to different places, having fun, and showing people around where we're at. So.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate this. My absolute final question. I'm your waiter at a sushi restaurant tonight. You're going to be somewhere around Santa Barbara, maybe Long Beach. My favorite sushi in California is in 2 places. There's a place called Japanese Blossom in Chico, California, which is a little bit off the coast. And my all-time favorite is in Seal Beach. If I don't even remember the name of it, it's this little, real authentic Japanese joint in Seal Beach. What do you order if I walk up to you and say, hey, Chuck, what can I get you? Are you all raw fish? Do you like the cream cheese? Do you like the fried shit? Or are you all raw?
I like uni and sashimi. I'm going to get uni for sure, but I get sashimi. It's a great place. Uni's one of those things, by the way, it's hit or miss. So in a really good place, great. And so place, sometimes not so good. By not so good, I mean it doesn't taste very good.
Is uni freshwater eel?
No. Was it abalone or something? Or it's
abalone?
I think it's abalone. I'm not sure how that. I know they get it out of Santa Barbara. We got Santa Barbara in Japan, but uni is great. Like, here's the thing. I used to hate uni. It actually used to be my funny thing. I'd order friends that didn't know sushi and I'd have them eat it because I thought it was disgusting. And because I'd always ate it at like cheaper places. And I went to a friend invited me to a place and asked me that, like, he'd say like he's a big guy. He's there all the time. He has his own little name tag thing for the place. So I'm sitting there and they're like, "Oh, do you want to just eat?" Like, he doesn't bring out whatever the chef wants to send you. And I said, "Sure, let's do that." And the first thing comes out was uni. I'm like, "Oh, okay," but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna eat it because I'm here. And I go to eat it. It was amazing. And I'm like, "Wait, wow, this is uni?" Like, I don't like. So I figured out it's one of those things. It's either really good or really bad. Oh,
you got to be close to the coast.
It's funny though, yeah, because if it's fresh, you ask somebody if it's fresh. And I go, "Hey man, is it fresh?" And they go, okay, I'm good. I don't need it."
It's not mackerel, is it?
What?
Is it? It's not mackerel, is it?
No.
I'm looking it up right now. It's UNI, right?
Yeah.
I want to look it up, make sure I know what the heck we're talking about. Yeah, it's sea urchin.
Sea urchin. Oh, that's it. That's sea urchin.
Oh, you like that stuff, huh?
Oh yeah, it's really good. Yeah, if you try it, you gotta try it. Don't knock till you try it. But yeah, I order sashimi a lot, and I'll usually get I like crab, I like sashimi. But yeah.
Well, I want to get together with you. We'll do some hunting. I'd love to go have some sushi and just toast with you and say what your career meant to me, man. I'm serious, dude. You were the reason why so many people my age got into the fight game and supported the UFC the way that we did and watched literally every fight you ever had. So congratulations on a great career, Chuck Liddell, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Fine. Sorry it took so long to get hook up.
Nah, man, I know how busy you are. You're freaking Iceman. Let's do it again. I want you to come back on soon.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, brother. That's Chuck Liddell. That's another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody podcast. Keep supporting Jack Daniels and other partners and sponsors. Tom, hit that button. This is Leith Lofton. What you going to do when the money's all gone?
I'd rather be poor living off in a hole, rich as hell without a soul. Life on